All right, what's up? Hopefully my laptop does not flake out, but we got 3 tables up here and we are playing some 100 on global poker. Looking to get into some spots. I had a study session earlier. I just uploaded that. And then here, I wanted to get a little play and explain action in. So I will start by 3-betting versus the cutoff here. And 3-betting, I think, really outperforms flatting versus this size, especially in a lot of situations here. This is a really small 4-bet size. I will always continue as a call. The snap 4-bet is a little bit concerning, but I'm getting a really nice price on a call. So typically I assign like more strength to like a snap 4-bet, and this hand is going to have to get pitched, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, that spot is not really great to attack either. But yeah, what I was saying is those faster 4-bets are typically not as weak as you would think. Like they're pretty fucking strong. So here we have a big fish on the button here. Well, not really big because we have a short stack, but a weak player. So I had a little bit of a study session earlier, just looking at some button versus big blind. I uploaded that. I'm gonna do a little play explain action. I might chop this video up if we get into any interesting spots. To the reason I say chop it up is if there are any interesting spots, looking at the theoretical solution for them, I think would be nice to have in the video. I know that there are several channels that do things like this, but I'm certainly interested in one in doing that as well. Fold, and then King Jack is here. Okay, so I'm gonna 3-bet a bit smaller. I swing this fish. I don't expect a ton of jam when I raise to this size. I expect them to continue a lot with a call. And here, I think the hands that fold the turn, or the hands that fold the flop, are going to fold the turn as well. Like are just going to fold the turn after delay. So I'm going to opt to check. And then if he has a hand like Ace Jack offsuit, I expect these hands to check a lot. And when they use this size, it makes my decision really easy. And I expect a lot of strong hands to go into this size. Okay, button versus big blind, 7-6 deuce rainbow. I'd play primarily B75 or check, and this hand is going to go into the check back region. Facing snap check. I think it's worth betting this hand because it has enough equity to bet. It could also sometimes get called by worse, like 3s, 4s, deuce, 2x region, some flush draws, ace high they need to defend with. So is it like would you bet ace 8? Would you bet 8-6 of diamonds? No, but with the flush draw, like I think there's you have enough equity to start putting money in. I think this video might be a little bit choppy, so I will make it a shorter one. All right, we're gonna have to play pray to the set genie. We got a reg who opens. This might be no reads on this player flatting the button, but hopefully we flop something and we whiff on Jack 7 rainbow. Interesting spot to check as the cutoff here. I guess this player who flatted might be irregular, or his hand is very weak. So it would help to have reads on the button in this situation, but so my hand is too weak to continue. This range is basically pocket pairs when they snap call. I could consider raising, but I think we have flush draws that we could raise as well. 5-6, 9-8, 10-9. I think this would be a nice spot to raise, all things considered. But I'm going to go ahead and fold, because when we get called, we're drawing very, very slim. So. And now you guys are listening to my dryer finish a cycle. So I got some clean laundry for tomorrow to start the work week. And let me know in the comment section what washer and dryer you guys use at home. Let me know what your thoughts are on it, and if it was worth the investment. If you're living with your mom and dad, let me know what their thoughts are on it. You can go ahead and ask them, and then maybe even have them subscribe and comment in the video what they think about their washer dryer setup currently. I have the LG wash tower, and I will say it is satisfactory for sure. It gets the job done. My laundry is clean, it's smelling nice. I have no qualms about okay, here gonna isolate. It's a little bit trickier at this stack depth. I don't like, this player might play traps, but I think it's just worth isoing basically raising everything as the big line versus fish. They're limping basically garbage, and maybe they throw in some traps, but definitely not enough traps. Like their idea of traps are like, aces and kings, right? But not really getting many strong hands in there. Let me see how long this has been going for. About 8 minutes. We've had 2 little hiccups, but I think it's going to be okay. So at the end of this video, I will put some hands in, and let me go ahead and look at like, it might be interesting just to look at this come up first button 4-bet pot on Jack 6-6, and we can look at the response there, just because I'm curious as to what the out of position betting strategy is. I'm sure they can range bet, right? Because they're having like this huge advantage in over pairs. So this board is definitely very good for them. And at that SPR, you don't really care about 6x. You're going to get stacked anyway. So over pairs have enough equity to always get it in. Even Jack X. But it would be good to look at this spot. And I'm trying to think now if there were any other spots that might be worth looking at. Button versus big blind, this versus pot, 7-6 deuce, 7-6-1 rainbow. So 7-6 deuce rainbow. We can go ahead and look at the strategy for that as well. Here we're going to 3-bet the ace-10 suited. Versus 2 big blinds, I'll use 11. You could use 10 as well. I think 10 might be slightly more effective. I played a little bit yesterday. I got torched yesterday. I played like 30 minutes and got completely torched. I was playing like shit, to be fair. So Like, I don't know what happens to me, but when I consume too much caffeine, okay, so a third hiccup here. When I consume a little bit too much caffeine, it really has an impact on my aggression frequency. And I end up like playing a little bit crazy. Like, when I'm caffeinated, I just am more inclined to put lots of money in. So whether it be like a bluff or just stationing someone. Right now, I'm a little bit more mellowed out. And, you know, I drink coffee in the morning, but if I have caffeine too late in the day, like, I become basically fucking geeked out. So I played 30 minutes yesterday, noticed that I was completely torching, and then stopped playing. And I played Friday as well. I won some amount of buy-ins Friday, but I lost 2 of them. Here, I'm going to call. Yeah, I lost, 2 buy-ins yesterday, pretty much. So I think over the weekend, like between Friday and Saturday, won a buy-in. When he donks, this is like kind of a shitty spot for my hand. I'm inclined to fold, so that's what I'll do, but I'm not loving it. You get 3-bet here, fold. The old king queen. We're going to open this on the button. 3-handed is nice. We'll definitely find ourselves in some spots here. This might be a weaker player. I have no reads on him, but I'm just going to put a note, not topped up, in case anything interesting happens, or he snap leaves right now. Okay, we're going to isolate this fish by 3-betting quite small from the small blind. Free ATM. Okay, that's a fun name. Gonna raise. 6-4-4. This is a board you'd want to do a lot of betting on, or a lot of checking, I mean. Not like a ton, but you definitely do want to do quite a bit of checking from out of position. This hand is, however, strong enough to bet. I think versus likely a weaker player, I prefer to bet. I think they'll call me with enough horse hands. And then I'm always continuing versus a raise. So it's nicer to bet there with like ace queen, ace king, when you're unblocking some of their ace high continues that have like ace high diamonds, ace high spades. Here we're gonna open quickly because this will fold my hand and not time bank. And we'll go for about 7 more minutes here before I chop this up and do like an analysis at the end. Queen 5 is just slightly too weak to continue versus a small blind RFI. Jack 7. Were there any other interesting spots? We could look at that BVB one maybe. Facing the 11 big blind. BB 3-bet. You know, this is obviously a fold. It's just interesting to note. I see that. I see a lot of people playing this size. I don't know what ranges people are generally using. This is likely a reg, but I think a lot of people play like a linear 3-betting range from the big blind, just like as like a hard exploit. It's interesting because what that does to your calling range is it really weakens the calling range. So you don't have this like somewhat condensed calling range anymore. You'll have a sort of like a gutted like bottom end calling range, And what that means for in position, if you make that assumption about your opponent, is that you get to bet more often, generally. Here we will continue as a call. It's a nice turn. Like obviously we pick up a lot of equity. And where's the B75? So this is basically saying he has like some King X that is stronger than King 3, obviously. But there's really nothing we can do. And this puts out a one-liner. When they check, I'm happy to check back. I'm gonna tank for all of 2 seconds, but we're gonna check back and hopefully win versus that. Well, we don't win versus anything. They have ace king. I think with like King 3 of clubs there, I'm sure I'm still calling, but is this a nice spot to raise? I think it is. This is a little bit out of line, but we're going to 3-bet versus a ISO here. I don't expect a ton of 4-bet, and then so a little bit too much folding for my opponent. So could even use a smaller size there, given that we're in position, but it did seem like a nice spot to attack. New York Mets fan. It looks like, I don't know what his character is there, the little emoji. I used the wrench. I like the wrench guy. He's got an interesting face to him. I was speaking to this guy and the dog, but it seems like the dog is really, I never see the wrench anymore. I always see people with this like dog playing cards. I will say this is a cool one to have, but the wrench guy is pretty chill. Here we could bet small, we could bet large. I think the primary, strategically, it's like you typically you're using a large bet. This player, I mean, if there's a hand that's going to go into a large bet, it's going to be pocket fours. So I'll go ahead and overbet. This guy's on the more passive sides, so I think overbetting generally is a little bit better because you anticipate getting check raised much less in general anyway. So like I'll put the money in for my opponent in a spot like that when they're extremely passive. 7-5-3 rainbow. This board they can do a bit of donking, but not a ton, and then like maybe low frequency donking. This hand seems okay to bet, but I think it's fine to put in the check back range. I think this board after check will get stabbed quite often, and I'm happy to continue versus stab. This should be an extremely polar sizing if they were to stab. When they check and I reopen the action, I'm going to use like some smaller sizes. So I think here half pot might be appropriate, and I think the range is pretty weak. So half pot is actually quite effective versus that type of range. Check call and snap check again, and going to polarize. So it's really a matter of like how much I think my opponent will call. Let me go ahead after they snap check. I'm going to bet 150% pot. And we will check this one back. These types of boards here, like around the 8, 7, or 6 rank, are very good for the big blind. So like the checking frequency is quite high on them. 9-8 two-tone checking frequency is going to be high. My hand is happy to go to showdown. And this jack should not be, like I don't anticipate a ton of bluffing from my opponent. When they bet this normal size pretty quickly, I don't know, I'm a little bit, it's really hard to say. I think blocking queen 10 is pretty nice, so I'll go ahead and pay this off. Okay, so they have the 10-7. Yeah, I think ace queen is like actually like a pretty nice hand to bluff catch there with, like if I'm going to call ace highs, because straights are going to go into that size. Like I imagine that it's like mainly straights, and then like, you know, full houses. I think it was a nice line from my opponent. All right, we're 20 minutes in. I'm sure there's a lot of choppiness in this video. I'll try and put timestamps in. I'm going to end the video here, and I think that's one final spot to look into at the end of this video. Here is big blind, single wrist pot, 9-8-8 two-tone. And yeah, so this segment, like the plan is explained segment, is going to end here, and I will see you guys briefly for like a little bit of analysis. Okay, so this is the second segment of the video, where I'm just going to be reviewing a couple of the spots that I played during our session. So the first one is this cutoff versus button 4-bet pot, Jack 6-6 rainbow. I think I got the exact suits correct, but basically we have a cutoff open, 3-betting the button. So I use a simplified strategy here because I tend not to play flats versus the 2.5x size at the 100 NL rig structure. I think flatting is good, but for the time being, I'm sort of leaning towards using a 3-better fold strategy, even though you do lose a little bit of EV, and it's hard for out of position to play against cold callers, in position cold callers. Anyway, that's sort of besides the point. We 3-bet, and then we face a 4-bet from the cutoff, and this is the 4-betting range. So I think it might be a little, quite a bit tighter than this. In game, I remember very fast 4-bet timing, so that's indicative of a stronger hand, or one of these hands that is like easier to determine whether or not you're going to 4-bet. And then they were also 4-betting smaller, so they used an 18 big blind size instead of this 21 big blind size. So even versus 21, king 10 is a call. 18 versus 18, I'm sure king 10 is winning even more money, right? And then yeah, so we call and we get the Jack 6-6 rainbow board, and this is the out of position strategy. So effectively range betting for B25 or B50. It's their choice to mix, basically leveraging an advantage in the in overpairs. Like they have slightly more overpairs than us because we're going to be jamming queens, we're going to be jamming some kings, and we are going to be calling some weaker hands than what they are 4-betting. So they have this advantage that they can leverage on us, and yeah, it makes a bit of sense for them to use this larger size. In game, we faced B25, and versus B25, I remember we folded, but it's not exactly what it seems like. You know, versus B25, this is the in position folding frequency, and I think alpha for this spot is 20%, so we are under folding versus B25. In game, I know myself, and I know like a lot of players that are likely way overfolding this spot. So like you have a hand like ace queen offsuit, you're inclined to pitch it. I'm going to share my thoughts on how the spot plays in practice in a moment, but like say we're playing, like I would not know that this is the theoretical solution for this spot. So that's essentially what I'm getting at. Like ace queen of spades is mixing a lot of call. Ace 10 of spades is mixing some call. Ace 10 of hearts is mixing as well. I mean, the backdoor, with the hands with the backdoor flush draws make more intuitive sense to me. But even ace 5 of diamonds, ace 5 of clubs, ace 5 of hearts, like these hands are indifferent. So I'm like, I'm very surprised by this. What I did want to see is like, if we call here, what is the barrel frequency on say like a brick turn? So we'll just put like hand-picked brick turn, deuce of spades. The barrel frequency is quietly low. So a lot of checking for out of position in game. I guess now it's a good time to share my thoughts in game. So in game, this range is stronger than what it is in theory, especially when you see like fast timing from your opponent, and they're a little bit fishier. Like the four betting range is like extremely strong, like not including any of these bluffs. Certainly not including this lower pocket pair region. I would say that this is the case even versus regulars, or some stronger regulars. So the folding frequency should go up quite a bit if this is the case. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like these hands that are very close are pure folding. Another thing to factor in is the barrel frequency. So the barrel frequency being somewhere around 40% in game, I expect it to be much higher once they bet flop. So like they bet flop, I expect ace king. I expect like all these hands to just constantly bluff. Like is that like sort of, is that wrong for me to assume? I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, I think it's just maybe a bit of projection. I couldn't tell you exactly. My intuition in this spot, it tells me that turn is going to be bet at a very high frequency, when we see here that it's not really the case in theory. So when we could expect to face increased turn aggression, some of these indifferent hands that make money when they're able to bluff turn after checking, after our opponent checks, or realize more often after our opponent checks, these indifferent hands that prefer that sort of play are going to lean fold as well. So interesting spot for sure. Like I said, would never guess that king 10 of hearts is totally indifferent, is actually a slightly winning call, but I mean, it's like, you know, it's practically like pretty much indifferent with the pot size. Would never guess that this was a call. So I'm going to plug in the next spot here. I'm going to go ahead and look at button versus big blind. So where's pot 7-6 deuce rainbow, and I will use the general solutions for this. General, nice. Okay, so that looks good to me. Am I tripping? Why is this spitting out a simple solution? There we go. Call, and we get 7-6 deuce rainbow. So I'm not going to be particular about the suits. And I think this spot was mainly interesting. And we see some betting, mainly with the backdoor suits, right? Diamonds, spades, 8-6. Like, yeah, this hand is going to do a lot of checking though. So We check in the check line. Now we get the, oops. Queen of spades river, or turn, I mean. Queen of spades. And our opponent, and this is typical for out of position, our opponent is playing a block size and a large overbet size. So the overbet is built around sets, likely some two pair as well, but need to be careful with the two pair because it's vulnerable. So like it's vulnerable, we can counterfeit, and like a hand like 7-6, for instance, may not prefer to always go into the overbet strategy. So anyway, we face a check on the turn as well, and this is the imposition strategy. It's mainly these normal sizes with a little bit of overbet. 8-6 of spades, having enough equity to start putting money in. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to check here, but also was interested in the overall strategy. I wasn't sure what the check frequency would be or what the preferred size would be, but my intuition told me B75 was sort of an appropriate size, like given that we've checked back the flop, significantly reducing the overpair region. I guess we do still have like a lot of like aces and kings that trap, and then we'll have some queen X that now wants to put in some big bets. But still a lot of hands like ace high that are willing to check down and try and win the showdown. So yeah, I if I were to take anything away from this spot, it's that the check back frequency is quite high. So like, maybe something for me to notice in my own game is like I may be delay c-betting slightly too often, but you need sort of like a large sample to pick things up like that. This is just what my gut is telling me. And we will review the last hand, which is button versus big blind, single raise pot, and we get the 9-8-8. So I remember this check down, look at, and yeah, as you can see, like this checking frequency is lower actually than what I thought it would be. I thought it'd be around somewhere around 40-45%. So 35 is quite low in my opinion. And hand like ace queen, it's pretty nice to bet actually because you get called by worse, but you also risk getting check raised, and your hand is not in love with getting check raised, obviously. Most hands aren't. So check, turn, we get the 9, I think the 9 of spades, right? Let's check, or 9 of clubs. 9 of clubs, and we could go ahead and look at this. So just playing normal sizes, we have a lot of 9x that check back. There's no clear advantage in like extreme like nuts, right? Like both me and, or both the button and the big blind are having like quite a lot of full houses in their range. So can't like, bet humongous. If you do see people betting humongous on these types of boards, my suggestion would be to fold a lot because they have the option of using this B75 and they're choosing not to. So check, and then the in-position strategy probably pretty similar. And we see a lot of B75, a lot of B50, and it's the same idea, like 12% full houses in the range. I think the main difference is that in-position has to is incentivized to start betting their full houses, whereas out of position has to do quite a bit of checking to protect their checking range. It's one of the downsides of playing out of position. So here we check back, and then we get the Jack of Hearts river. And now we start seeing larger bets come out here. In game though, we face this B75, so this is definitely like an appropriate size for quite a lot of hands. So you have Jack X. We can just look at the threshold here. So it's basically built around top pair. Even straights are strong enough to go into this overbet size. So I guess after check check, since in position is going to like almost always bet full houses on the turn, on the river out of position is able to pile lots of money in with, you know, hands that seem very thin. Like Jack X seems very thin to me, but is always getting bet. So what that means for me in game is that bluff catching ace queen seems a lot better, I guess, because the like bluff catching against that size is you know, we lose to a lot less. Like they're not going very thin, so it's easy for them to over bluff. But that's just what my gut is telling me. So here we have ace queen, and yeah, it looks like diamonds are always going to call, and this is because wait, hold on, I think it works the other way actually. Why exactly is that? You know what you know why that is because our opponent is always going to bluff diamonds on the turn. So when they get to the river in this delayed line, they are never bluffing with diamonds. So I think like most of their like diamond combos are just getting filtered out here on the turn. I mean, we could just check. We could just go ahead and check. A lot of turn betting with diamonds here. I guess the queen diamond. It's like we look at clubs. Yeah. Whereas like queen five of clubs always going to bluff the river. So like when you have diamonds, you block less bluffs. I would never in a million years get to that conclusion in game without like looking at the solution, right? But interesting spot, and it looks like basically top pair is indifferent. I would think that like, you know, you have the queen, so you're blocking. Like, I guess my assumption in game was like having the queen is quite good because you're blocking some straights, but I think all the majority of straights go into this B50 size. So here having the queen is better, like it's preferred. Like you're folding a hand like ace three, ace five, right? If we assume that straights are going to the B75 size, then it makes sense to want to have a queen, right? And then having a 10 is even better because you're blocking like the 10-7 suited as well. So interesting how this river plays out. What the hell do you bluff? Like, I don't get it. Like, you just have like this all in size. Yeah, I truly don't know. Truly don't know. You bluff queens. Wow. How much sense does that make, right? I don't get it. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. I don't know. That pretty much looks like solver noise. So I'm just going to chalk that up to solver noise. Anyway, I thought this would be an interesting addition to the video. I hope this wasn't too long. I guess the video is probably going to hit around like 25 minutes, right? Or not 25 minutes, like 55 minutes or something. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you've watched up to this point, really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.